Good afternoon, everyone from the NAWBO Circle. Welcome to your drop-in mastermind group. Today, we are talking about AI. And we're talking about AI because all of you are talking about AI because everybody's talking about AI. And we all want to know more about what is it, how do I use it, what do we need to look out for, how do I understand this thing, because it's happening and it's coming and it's already here. And so we have two amazing companies here with us. Both of them are in the circle. And so your genius already exists inside of the NAWBO Circle, and they are here to share with you today. I did capture the questions that you sent ahead of time and forwarded them on, and we're going to have an incredible hour. So I'm just going to turn it over. Lisa, would you like to be up first?
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Kathy and I are very excited to share with you a little bit about AI. So I'm hoping this will be able to be a high-level discussion about AI, some of the tips and tricks. We both, Kathy and I, even though we're both in the tech industry, we both offer complementary services where we're hoping it'll give you a well-rounded overview of AI and the benefits from the technical aspect all the way to using it currently today. So we're going to get started since we only have an hour. There's a lot to cover. If there's questions, ideally, we'd like you to save it to the end. But if there's something really pertinent about the slide that we're showing, please feel free to jump in. Okay. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about the LCP group so you have an understanding of where both myself and Kathy come from. I'm the president and owner of the LCP group, so we are an 8A minority woman-owned firm. We work in solving customers' IT problems utilizing newer technology. We strive to offer a best-in-class solution using new technology to ensure that they are given the best ROI for the technology needs. We have a number of certifications. NAWBO is up there as one of them. We are also have a number of contract vehicles, and we purposely go after specific contract vehicles to make sure that we're able to give our customers the access to our solutions without having to work hard to be able to engage with us. For us, we kind of look at our services as they're complementary to each other. Today, we're talking specifically about AI, machine learning, Gen AI. But for us, everything comes together. So if you decide to work with us tied to an AI project, there's always the advisory services, the infrastructure where it's going to be hosted, which is the cloud, the best practices and cybersecurity, because you can't just build something on AI and not worry about the security to make sure it's not going to be hacked. You have to make sure you have everything in place around it. So we like to break it down to make it easy for everybody to understand what we're able to offer. Kathy?
Hi, yeah. Okay, and like Lisa said, we have complementary businesses. My company is Tech House. We tend to work with small mid-market companies, 1 to 200 employees, and help them make the most of tech. And AI is, as we all know, something that's become really front of mind for a lot of people, although it's been around for a while. And can you advance it? I don't know if I can advance it, Lisa. Yeah. So what we do basically is we help our customers get the tech, pick the right tech, get the tech implemented and appropriate to their size and purpose, and then help them manage it ongoing. So that's our focus area. When it comes to AI specifically, when we get to the section I'll be discussing, we focus on the Microsoft platform. So we're going to talk a little bit about what you may have been using with AI all along and didn't know it, and then also what's coming and how you can prepare for it.
So I just wanted to make sure everybody fully understood what AI is, because not everybody understands that there's a difference between AI, generative AI, and machine learning. So AI is leveraging computers to mimic the problem solving and decision-making capabilities of a human. So some common examples of AI is Siri by Apple, Alexa, Google Assist. And a lot of these you'll see you use on a regular basis without even realizing that this is the foundation of AI. Then there's generative AI. This is the one that's the latest with buzzwords. Everybody is talking about it. What is it? What can you do with it? So we're going to go into depth a little bit more about what it actually means. But everybody probably has heard of ChatGPT. I'm sure a lot of you have even played with it over since it's been released in November. But there's others that are coming out as well. There's one called BERT, which is by Google, which has actually been out since 2019. And these are just ways for people to learn to create products and content, to create movies, code, to make our daily life easier. Then there's machine learning. Everybody's heard about machine learning. Machine learning's been around. The term machine learning has been around as a buzzword a lot longer than ChatGPT and AI. Machine learning, though, is just actually a subset of AI. And what it is, it actually is a way for you to perform a specific task, but it learns it builds and takes the information to be more accurate than what it would normally be. If you just went in and built a simple algorithm, this actually learns from its mistakes and builds on it. So now we're going to talk a little bit how businesses can utilize AI. So Kathy and I are both going to be sharing some examples of how businesses utilize AI currently. Sorry. So some of them are like, I'll talk about the ones that I'm most familiar with that we're actually utilizing in a lot of solutions we give our customers. And one of them is the process automation. This is something where you have something like, think of it this way, when you take, we utilize it for AP automation, where we actually built a platform where it automates the process. So there's no more manual steps to automate. From the time you receive an invoice to the time you pay it, it's automated. So there's less human interaction, less touch, and it's just completed. Another big one that we've been using is language translation, where it actually will take the language, it can be spoken, or it can be actual in text, and it translates to other languages. So we actually use it where there's a video and you can type in something that you want to translate it to German. It'll put it in German, but if you want to turn it into a certain dialect of German, it can actually do that as well. So there's no longer that barrier of trying to use like Google Translate and say you want to translate it to German, but then it doesn't translate properly. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that over time where it's not always accurate, and you may actually be saying something incorrectly to the person that you're trying to communicate. You might be asking, I'd like some coffee, but it's actually coming out as, I'd like a dog. So it will help. What we've been working with is to make it more accurate. Another common one that we've been working on is predictive analytics, is where we're trying to predict the future. And I'll give you an example of that in a little bit. But this is a way for us to plan the future. A lot of people are utilizing this with their sales and marketing tools to make sure that they're targeting the right markets at the right time to make sure that they get the best ROI. A lot of people are also using it in cybersecurity. This helps them to plan when they feel an attack might be happening. They can ramp up their cybersecurity to make sure that there is no gaps and everything is cohesive around. Kathy, did you want to jump in? No? Okay.
Hear me, sorry. Yeah, absolutely. There's a in the Microsoft world, there's usually like a very technical layer, an intermediary layer, and then the layer we interact with is just normal human beings every day. And there are 3 examples very similar to the ones you just discussed that fall into that category. One is, and this product first was able to do this maybe 10, 15 years ago. It's called Power BI. Today it's had other names, but it can do anomaly detection and help us see things. And as Lisa mentioned, later on, we'll show examples of these, but it can help us identify, it can consume way more data than we could try and understand it and help us identify anomalies or identify trends. A second one, security as well. If you're using the Microsoft platform for security, There's, for example, the AI would say, we have a customer with offices in Florida and New York, and she logged in from Florida, but 30 minutes later, it showed she logged in from New York. So the AI was able to say, hey, you know what? That's a geographic impossibility between those two locations. Let's lock down this account until we can figure out what's going on, which thank goodness it did that. And the third example is a blood bank, very similar to the AP solution that Lisa spoke about. In this case, though, they had they had years and years and years of paper forms that had been handwritten, standard, like, I'm signing up to go to the blood bank. So what we did is we took a bunch of those forms and we let the AI look at them, and we said, okay, we want, like you would teach a kid, we want you to understand that this is the type of data we care about. We want you to grab it off of there. Now, people are handwriting their answers, but the AI was able to, we trained it, but the AI was able to read those in and start learning, oh, okay, this is what you mean. So we processed hundreds of thousands of documents once it got pretty good at figuring out how to read that. So those are all kind of examples, very similar examples of leveraging AI.
So now we're going to talk about some of the pitfalls that happen with AI. And as Kathy was talking about, when you're looking at data sets, you're taking millions and billions of rows of data, and you got to make sure that the data quality is there. So you have to first make sure that the data is uniform, because if one of the data sets is a pen, you can't put pens and then blue pen, red pen, unless you break it all down. So it's easy for the data to make sure it's uniform in order for the machine learning to be accuracy. Another big concern is as you know, is the bias and fairness. This, I'm sure a lot of you have seen over time, again, is where the police are utilizing AI to go after certain suspects that they think are involved with a crime. But because there's not enough minority data in the algorithms, it's targeting certain races unbiased. So it's not a fair consensus of who the actual person is. They can't actually look at the image and be 100% accurate that that is the person they're looking for versus someone else. Another big concern is the regulatory compliance. This is one of the questions that came up, and it's true. Just like with anything else, new technology, there is very little compliance right now. These are all things that are going to be coming about in the future. I can't say when, but I do know Europe is taking a huge initiative on AI, how to control it, how to control blockchain, Web3. These are huge issues. One of the things that I know came up with, does an avatar have the same benefits as an actual human? Or how is that treated? And these are all things that 10, 15 years ago, we never thought of, but it takes time for the government to come up and have the same rules and regulations across the board. So as a human, we have to make sure that we keep our moral compass and make sure that we're doing everything ethical as possible. Kathy, did you want to share anything?
Yeah, absolutely. I love everything that Lisa was saying, especially, understanding the limitations. And there are a couple of things that I would encourage you to do. One, if you do go out to ChatGPT, and if you like links to any of these things, please let us know. And, Lisa, us, Linda, everybody will get it to you. But if you do go out there, ask it for a bio on yourself and see how accurate that bio is. Say, hey, give me a bio on name, title, company. You got to give it enough so it can find you in the vast world, and see how accurate it is. I think that can really bring home that some of these tools can speak with the sound of authority and really sound like it knows what it's talking about. But that doesn't mean that it's actually accurate. And there's a concept called shared responsibility. And that concept is used a lot when people work with vendors in the cloud. And shared responsibility says, let's say Microsoft or Google or Salesforce or Intuit, Insight, all these companies, if you're using their products, they're saying, look, we're hosting that for you. But if someone gets in through your account, that's on you, that's not on us. A lot of people don't realize that. They think if it's in the cloud, it's being managed as though they're an IT department up there managing it for you, but that's not accurate. They're managing their part and you're responsible for managing yours. And you'll notice if you go out to ChatGPT, it says, hey, there's no guarantee this is accurate. You have to confirm. Now, in reality, confirming that is like reading a license agreement. If you had time to research all this, you would have done that, right? So I think that there's a really interesting challenge about that. And then one other thing on the ethics side, it was a question somebody had asked earlier, and that was along the lines of like copyright and ownership and all that. And so I'm just, oh, I guess I can't put the link in that way. I wanted to share with you a link, but it's an interesting question about who owns what is created. I don't think we have like screenwriters in the group, but you know, that concept of if it's generated by a machine, can you copyright it? And the little bit that I've read on that, I'm no expert, but the little bit I've read is very interesting, which is copyright gives rights to a human. Copyrights don't give rights to a machine. So if it's a machine generated activity, that it may not be able to be copyrighted. So I think there are a lot of interesting questions around potential pitfalls and just acknowledging that it's early. You can't live without it, but you have to be careful when you live with it, I would say.
The next we wanted to talk about how to avoid some of these pitfalls. As Kathy just mentioned, there's you want to double check everything that you put into Chat GDP. You want to make sure that it's accurate. You want to make sure that the information you're giving it is correct. And then once you get the information, before just publishing it, you want to read it. You don't have to be a subject matter expert, but I don't recommend using it for something that you are not an expert in, or cannot notice the inaccuracies. You want to make sure that it's something that you would feel comfortable putting your name to. But when you do these, when you're using any AI, you want to make sure you use a pilot. You want to test it before you actually produce something that you're going to go to market with. This is something that, as with any project or product that you're developing, you always go through an MVP or a prototype. That's the same with ChatGPT and any AI. You want to make sure that you're following those pilot projects. You want to make sure that you have a lot of security, because as Kathy mentioned, you are responsible for your end of the cloud. Just like this is, if you don't have this best practices for security built in, you are putting yourself at risk. You're putting yourself at risk of getting incorrect data, getting more inaccurate information. And then if you publish that, it's going to be published and tied to your name. It's not like you can say, well, I just used ChatGPT to create this blog. If you're not willing to verify, it does fall on the human that asked ChatGPT for the information. You also have to, as I mentioned, think about the ethical guidelines. Always keep in mind what ethical guidelines you are willing to follow and best practices. Because if you're not following those, that's where it can go to the askew really fast. If you're not looking at the best practices and making sure that you are following security, compliance, transparency as much as possible. Kathy?
Absolutely, 100%. And one of the things to think about is who owns the data that the machine is learning from. So, you know, if you think about this whole process as there's a huge wiki or encyclopedia, I mean, obviously it's much larger, billions of points of data, but there's this huge thing of data out there. And then the machine is taking your question, going through that data, using its different reasoning models, like we all learned in math. Oh, this is how you can combine these two things. Well, it has way more advanced models to reason through, and it's giving you an answer. So how it reasons is important. How you ask the question is important, just like talking to people. But also, what knowledge does it have is important, right? You want to know the knowledge of the individual you're asking a question of, and you want to know the knowledge of the AI engine you're asking the question of. One of the important things to avoid pitfalls is to think about, do I want to use the web as my source of information, or do I want to specify where it's going to go to get the source of my information, because those are trusted sources? This concept of citations, Is your engine providing you its sources? And are you taking time to click a link on those sources and saying, yeah, I trust that source, or I don't trust that source? That's very important. One of the things we'll talk about what's coming next is, how we can start to kind of have some more control over those sources, and so we can feel that we can trust the data.
So now I'm going to give 3 examples of how we have utilized, one example tied to AI, one tied to machine learning, and one tied to ChatGPT. And these are just so you can kind of get an example, an understanding of how you could utilize any of these resources for your business. There's so many different examples out there that you can utilize any of these for, that we want to make sure you have a full understanding. So I founded the company in 2011, shortly after we started playing with Amazon Web Services. We were very interested in the cloud. So what we did is we started hosting tons of different environments, from small websites to full ERP applications. So we have a very wide portfolio. And what we realized very fast is we as humans do not have the time to go in and update every environment that's out there that we're managing. So we started building the AI, the automation into the platform to automate and to make sure that it's self-healing, to make sure that the security is built in, to make sure that all the updates are being done on a regular basis. And because of this, all of our environments are updated all 100% by AI with 0 human touch. That means 0 error. We've had 100% uptime. We never had any downtime. We don't have to wait for a human to go in and evaluate anything, or to make sure that something is working properly, because it's already working properly, because we're not changing any of the existing code, we're adding to it. So another example, this one's tied to machine learning. This one, a customer asked us how to predict the weather. So as you know, weatherchannel.com, your weather app, it's right about maybe 70% of the time. And that's what they were faced with. So we were able to change it, and we're now able to predict the weather 96 hours out in advance at a 99% accuracy, and it's updated real time. And the reason we're able to do that is because we took multiple open source data sets, and we were able to take it and work with our algorithm to make sure that it was accurate. It took us probably about 3 months before we got to the 99% accuracy. But what it is, it's the fact that we were playing and fine tuning with our algorithm and taking more and more data sets. So the more data sets it got, the more accurate it was able to become. So our last one is tied to our blog management. It's based on our Docker platform, which is the web app solution. And this is just one of the many solutions we have on it. But I thought this would be most interesting because someone brought up about blog management. So what we did is we used generative AI to build this platform. And what it is you can create a blog, you give it a couple of prompts, it creates the blog, and then it can be posted on social media, and it can be scheduled, it's seamless. So what we did is we tested it quite a bit, and Dave's going to give you a demo of it, where you can see how it goes from an idea to a full blog that you can post on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or on your website. Dave?
Sure. All right, can I share my screen?
Yes. I hit.
I'll have this.
You.
I cannot, it says you're still sharing.
I hit stop. Linda, is there a way for you to make me stop? No. Okay, I'm gonna have to close Zoom, Dave, and I think you can pick up then, okay?
There you go. All right, can you all see my screen?
Not yet, but maybe it's coming.
It's not letting me.
Yeah, David, try it again.
Okay. It keeps booting me out.
Why did it stop?
Like I hit share screen, I hit share, and then it just stops.
Yeah, I have it enabled. I don't know why it's not letting you. There we
Looks
go.
good.
Oh, there you go. All right. All right. Sorry about the technical problem. So yeah, so as Lisa mentioned, this is our Docker platform. So this is a platform we've been building for a couple of years now. And it's built using modern technologies, cloud technologies. And we took the opportunity to build a blog management solution. It's designed to work with any LLM. So right now we've got it connected to OpenAI, but the plan is to create connect it to a private LLM so that you're not sharing your information with other people and filling, possibly exposing your data out to other companies out there. So we have what we call the media manager. We got a schedule, we got defaults that we can set up for how many words in the blogs do we want. So this is connected to a blog, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, and we can add any other social media that you would like to connect to. The default for the model, like I said, we can connect to any model. So these are all the different models available through OpenAI. And then search engine optimization, we can create our categories for information. So this is just the defaults for creating a blog. So if you were to go in here and create a post, you come in here, say create post. Oop, what's going on there? Okay. Why is it not working for me now? Okay, so that's not what's supposed to happen.
Blood demos are always the trickiest.
Yeah. What was that?
It's saying access denied, Dave.
No, it's because it's we just enabled multilingual because we have some customers, different countries now that we're adding multilingual, so it's missing the UN English. So you can go and create a post title. Does anyone have a title for a post that they'd like to be created? Any ideas? Any suggestions? No?
Dog training?
Dog training?
Yeah.
Dog training in the 21st century.
Sure.
There you go. And so obviously we want to write about dog training. So describe the new ways of training dogs and the benefits to them and the owners, the animals. Right. So you can choose, how many do you want to create? So we can say blog for Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, so we can generate them all at the same time. The category, obviously, we're going to keep the category dogs, but we could have had different categories. The tone, what type of tone do you want?
Does Camelia have an idea, or I don't know? Friendly?
Friendly tone, target audience, dog owners, I guess, right?
That's good.
And call to action, take care of your dogs. And all right, and then you can put in additional instructions. We can add, description of the image, If we want to add an image, so I'll just grab any image off my computer right now. Let me just grab the Canon image, that's fine. All right, and then I just hit generate post. And what this is doing is actually going out and generating 4 different posts, one for each of the different social media platforms that we've identified. So a blog for our site, a Facebook post, a LinkedIn post, and a Twitter post. And all 4 of them will be completely different and catered to that platform's uniqueness. So I don't know if you guys can see this, but I'll just make the screen a bit bigger. So the blog, it created, positive reinforcement training methods can greatly benefit dogs and their owners, and repeat those behaviors in the future. On Facebook, it says, hey, attention dog owners, did you know that there are new and exciting ways to train our furry friends, from positive reinforcement techniques to interactive puzzles, to a LinkedIn post that says, hey, exciting new. So you notice how they're all unique and designed specifically for the platform. And the nice thing about this is once we save it, we can publish it. If, yeah, that's right. So I'll have to get the team to look at this. Where go? There you go. Right. No, sorry. Yeah. So we definitely have a problem. Right. And so that's how it generates it, and all these prompts. So what we've done is we've taken, went through and said, hey, what are the prompts that you would need to create blogs and media generators, and pre-populated them for users to not have to learn them, right? Because when you're working with these new generative AI, a big part of the job is, well, how do you prompt it? Like what prompts do you need to actually generate the content that you desire? And there's lots, like you'll see hundreds of YouTube videos out there just talking about prompt engineering is what they're calling it, and calling it a new job title for companies, because that's a big part of it is, if you get the right answers or to get the things that design the way you want. So what we do is we're actually, just taking the technical aspects away from the user and just making it a very simple, front end user interaction, just like any other day-to-day operation. And then within this, we got, we can publish it to the website, and we got a nice scheduling tool that we built, and that'll probably air out to, because of this. So, but you can actually schedule your blogs on a calendar, and see all your blog history of when it was published. So, this is dog training will be published. What time do I want to publish it at? I can see on August 1st, I had 2 other blogs posted. On August 18th, I have another one scheduled. So I can see, where I want it. So I want to say it's on the 15th, so add the schedule. And so now it's scheduled for the 15th. So, and now I can go see on the 15th that it's scheduled for tomorrow. And then on the front end side, on the blog side, the customers, they'll see the blog, it'll publish on the site, and it generates with the images. These are just samples of other ones. And yeah, and again. And then, but it formats it, and you can edit it. Our plan is to add workflow to that process as well, so that you can review it all beforehand. And I don't know if you noticed, but yeah, I apologize for this. We just put this change in last week, but you can edit it. It's got a full editor in here, so you can format it the way you want. You can clean it up, change it. Okay, it's designed again with the concept of it's a tool to assist you to build out all your things. So this would have saved me, 80% of my time, and then I just have to spend 20% of the time just reviewing, editing, refining, making it, what ours, or making it unique to our organization. And then removing anything I don't like or whatever. So that's how we're viewing these AI tools, is as an assistant to you. And that's how we're building all our tools using machine learning and AI. It's an assist to get you closer to what you want to do. So that's our demo. Sorry for the few little minor errors, but it did work overall.
Kathy?
Yeah, thanks, Lisa. Yeah, that was awesome, David. I'm sure many people in marketing are going, oh, thank goodness. So yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show my screen. And as Lisa mentioned the beginning, what I'd like to talk through is, what are some tools you may not know you have today to help with that you can leverage AI, and then also where is it going, because you might want to be preparing if you're not there yet. So the first thing that I wanted to do is share my screen, which I don't use Zoom as often. So let me see if I can get this right. I think I did. All right. Can you see my screen?
No, not yet.
No.
How
Okay,
about now? I only did the first click, so 2 clicks. Got it? You can see it?
Yes.
Okay, so just really quick, more or less, you can wave your hand or put your electronic hand. How many people have actually used something, ChatGPT, somewhere in their life, they feel that they've been involved with AI so far? Like a couple. Okay, mostly not. Okay, so just to make sure everyone's on the same page, if you've heard about ChatGPT, you can literally just go into any old browser and Google it, and it'll bring you to a screen where you can log in and sign up. Okay, so just so that's not like a barrier for anybody, just come on in here, say you want to try it out, create a login. Okay, thank you very much. Do sign up, and you can log in and start asking it questions. So it's not any crazy thing. What I wanted you to know, some of you probably use the Microsoft Suite. If you are, Microsoft 365 Basic or Standard, ChatGPT is now built into Bing for you. And also, Microsoft uses this term called Copilot. I don't know if some of you have heard about it. Copilot is taking artificial intelligence and the Microsoft Suite and putting them together. Why does that matter? Because now you can have that AI checking your records, checking your SharePoint, checking your OneDrive for answers. So your team has questions. You don't have to build out an FAQ like as much as you did before. Obviously, we have to build the content. That's why I'm saying the data is so important. And you want to be in the cloud. So if you're not in the cloud, get in the cloud, get securely in the cloud. But now this chat can look both internal and external. Also, Bing is powered by AI, so surprises and mistakes are possible. So that's what we talked about earlier. It can't be the end all be all. But imagine if what it's pulling from is your data. That's a big deal. Now you control how it's answering those questions, and that's so important. So go to bing.com. If you're logged into your 365 account only in Edge, go to bing.com/chat, and you will see that when you go into Bing, you have more than just your normal Bing available. You're also going to have the ability to click the chat button at the top. So that would be a good way to kind of get started and think about it. Okay, so that's one thing that I wanted to share with you. And then another thing I wanted to share with you is a tool that's been out there for a long time. I don't know if any of you have been using it or not. This is Power BI. Power BI was the birth of that came through a product called ProClarity that got a patent about 15, 20 years ago for using, nothing like what we have available today, but the initial steps of using artificial intelligence to understand data, like numbers, right? Maybe not your emails, but more numbers. That's where a lot of the initial application was. So what it does is it analyzes your numbers. I know this is very small, but I'm not sure if I can make it. Oh yeah, I can make it bigger. Maybe, can you guys see that? It's big enough to see. Yeah, so it can analyze the data to say, hey, go look at all my data that this is tied to, and it can tie to all different kinds of sources of data. Different web apps. I mean, I don't know, there's hundreds of different sources of data. Put it all into one place and tell me what's affecting what. So what makes my close ratio go up? Is it by promotion? Is it by something in this department, that department? Where's the correlation? May not be causation, but where's the correlation, so I can start trying to understand what's driving the data in my business. That's structured data. So by structured, we mean usually numbers. If you go into a system and you type in numbers, you can count how many there are of something or add them together. That's structured data. And Power BI is great at leveraging AI, and the tools are much more advanced than they used to be. It can also find anomalies. Like if you have a lot of sales and you want to understand that something's peaked unusually or dropped unusually, this tool can help you identify those anomalies and notify you. Manufacturing uses this tool in organizations. So that's like one scenario that I thought would be good. And that's available today. It's been available for years. So that's good for us to be aware of. Another tool that you may already have or is readily accessible to you is called Power Automate. But the significance of that is the ability to make something happen many, many times. We talk about where technology is very helpful if there's a variety of data, if there's a large volume of data, or high velocity. Variety, velocity, and volume. When you see one of those things happening, it's usually harder for humans, but easier for machines. So in that case I gave you of the blood bank, we leveraged the Power Platform, it's called, plus what's called cognitive services. If you want to look it up, it doesn't matter, but Azure Cognitive Services. And we put that together so that the machine could look at 100,000 documents because they were using part-time labor, temporary labor to do that, which brings its own challenges, right? So getting a machine to do that type of work can be very helpful. And that's available today. That's not, that's not weird world. If you have a Microsoft subscription, you already own some credits. Just start understanding if that'll work for you. If you have high volume, you're gonna need to buy more credits, but still. Then I wanted to also make you aware of this term Copilot. And what Copilot is from Microsoft, like I said, is leveraging AI and the rest of your systems. Today, you can purchase Sales Copilot. If anyone's using Dynamics CRM, Sales Copilot takes the AI engine, looks at all of your data in your sales system, and it can connect to Salesforce also. Look at all your data in your sales system and says, oh, you know what? Let me draft that email. Someone asked, how about drafting an email? Let me help you draft that email. And so you get a response from somebody in email and it'll put together a draft for you. And we all know, just like David was talking about, and Lisa were talking about earlier, it's so much easier to work with words and change them than to stare at a blank piece of paper and think, now what am I going to say? Right? I mean, it's night and day. So Copilot is super helpful. Sales Copilot is available today. What's coming is Microsoft 365 Copilot. We talked about owning your data. What's coming is the ability for Copilot to look at all of your data in your line of business apps, if you want to call it, your structured data, the numbers, the records, the customers, the orders, that type of data, your order system, your accounting. Look at that data. Look at all your files like SharePoint, your emails, and if you want, look at the web and try and answer your questions from that universe. So that's huge, right? That would be really huge if I said, I'd like to understand better, how is this product tracked historically and how does it look like it's going to track into the future, taking into account everything you can understand that I have stored in my environment and external factors, basically a SWOT analysis for you using your data and external data, right? Pretty crazy. That's going to be useful to you if you're capturing your data. If you're not capturing your data, you're going to be flat-footed when those features come out, and that kind of all-inclusive. So important to be in the cloud securely and capture your data in the cloud in a way that you can pull it out. You want to make sure, even if you're not using the Microsoft platform for some of your line of business, which is fine, make sure that whatever system you're using has a way to pull it out. We run into customers who are using proprietary applications or, these different, that they're closed. And if it's closed, you're not going to get, it's going to be hard. And it's a journey, as we all know, to move off. So if you got to move off, you want to think about that sooner than later, or figure out how you can tie in. Can you get your vendor to build an API, that, which is like a way for computers to talk to each other, build that so you can pull that data in and make it part of your universe. And then I had one more thing I wanted to share with you that's just kind of fun, actually. Well, actually, all of this is fun. This other part you may find as fun as I do. Let me see if I can bring it up one moment. I'm going to pause sharing so I can get into my screen. There are, I'll put the links in the window, but my team member was kind enough to create little QR codes, so I want to share those with you. I want to be able to say that I shared them with you. So let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so there's two demos I'm going to give you. They're for bots. Who loves when the vendor says you have to talk to their bot first before you can talk to a human? No, nobody loves that. But anyhow, it's the world we exist in. So I've got two demo bots I'm going to show you. One is called Bobby version 2. My husband's name is Bob. Yeah, he's really cool. So he doesn't work in the business. But anyway, Bobby V2 and then Harry Potter. Those are our 2 demo bots that I want to share with you. So I'm going to go in here and show you first Harry Potter. So I don't know if you guys can get that QR code, but I'm just going to put the, let me see if I have that open. Let's see. I might have to refresh that because I opened it an hour ago. 1 second. Okay, good. She's still alive. All right, so Hermione is still there. I know it's called Harry Potter, but for this group, I thought we need to be Hermione, right? And let me find our chat window, and y'all can do the same thing I'm going to do. Chat. Okay. So you get that link? So y'all can do this as well. So what did we do? We said we created this. It took us like, I don't know, 30 minutes or something. We said we would like a bot that we can learn about Harry Potter from. So who is Hermione Granger? Okay, couple things to be aware of. AI, machine learning, blah, 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 blah. It's the data, right? It's the question we ask, the data that it's grabbing from, the brain it's using to think about it, and then it gives us an answer back. Okay, the question we ask. In the old days, you might remember, you have to word a phrase exactly right, or the machine doesn't know what you're talking about. Would you please rephrase? Would you please rephrase? You know, sorry, I can't help you, blah, 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 blah. Finally, you're like, on the phone system, right? Press 1 for this, 2 for this. You have to say exactly what you want, or 0 for operator. I mean, it's like straight to 0. I don't even listen to everything because I don't know. So here it's using what's called a large language model. So it's saying, hey, you know what? Just ask me. I'll probably understand what you're asking, which is game changing. So who is Hermione Granger? Can you all see my screen? Yeah? Okay. Who's Hermione Granger? Now it's going to go try and get the answer. What we told the machine to do is we want you to use the Wizarding World as your source of data. So any questions we ask, go out to Wizarding World to get the answer. Now, interestingly, the AI went out there, figured out she's Muggle born, knows her parents are dentists, which is accurate. She's not famous for surviving an attack as a baby. So he didn't, or she, I'll say he, because he didn't, no offense, David, he didn't get it right. Actually, he didn't get all that information right, but we know the source of the information, right? He is providing citation, which we want. We want our engines to provide us the source of their data so we can go research it. So y'all can use that link if you want and ask questions. It's going out to Wizarding World and it's using an AI model to try and answer the question for you. The other use case I wanted to share with you, and that was, you know, took only a few minutes. We just tie it to a data source and move on. So imagine though, if you could do this and have the data source be your environment and your customers could ask questions of you. That would be cool, kind of interesting. Or maybe they even log in, you require authentication and they can get order information. And you're not creating these really complex codes that say, oh, if you enter this data, you get that, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes though, you do have to do that. And that's where Bobby comes in. And so let me see if he's still available also. This is just a demo. Again, took less than an hour to build Bobby out as well. Okay, so now what happens is, what if I'm asking questions and the system doesn't know what I mean by it? Like, how do you train it to know? So I'm going to say, I hate bots. I cannot find, I'm not able to find a related topic. Can you rephrase? Oh crap, and I'm not really sure how I said it. I hate talking to computers. I'm living the dream. I trained him to not like to respond to people who are frustrated without being able to get the right prompt. And I am giving you examples of that. Let me get to him really quick. 1 moment. Let me just find my topics before I lose that chat bot. Bobby. So I gave him these examples. I told him, I'm frustrated. Oh, that's right. It was not about hating. It's about being frustrated. Why do I have to talk to you? So it was somebody who was frustrated. That's right. Okay. So let me try that again. I am frustrated trying to talk to a bot. Oh, even though I didn't have that exact phrase in my system, he picked up that I'm frustrated, that I have something to bot. And so we phrased this wording. Why is that important? Because the response could be customized by you. What makes our companies valuable? unique, our unique business, right? Or that otherwise nobody would know us from the next business. It would be very difficult to compete. So the personality of your business, whatever the values or culture of your business is, come through in your response. Why is this so valuable? You don't have to guess the 100 different ways someone might say, I'm really frustrated talking to a bot. You can put something similar and it figures out based on the examples you gave that that's happening. This firmly puts this technology in the hands of small and mid-market businesses when it wasn't 5 years ago. That large language model is game-changing for small businesses because now we can do things that others couldn't. So those were just some things that I wanted to share with you as examples that might be helpful.
Okay, so we can open it up to Q&A. There was a couple of questions that
Oh,
came
were there?
in. Hold on, let me.
Do you need to use enterprise chat, which comes with Microsoft Business Standard and Basic Standard, and Premium requires Edge. And you can't run it in private mode. Is Sales Copilot part of Microsoft Suite? It's purchased separately? Yes. Sales Copilot is purchased as a product, a subscription, like you purchase other, subscriptions. We'd love to help you with any of that, of course. But yeah, you purchase it as a subscription.
Nice.
Okay, there's another question. Well, this is one that was emailed in. For design drawings, how will ownership of designs be handled without infringing on other owners' designs? So we did briefly talk about this earlier, but about who owns what. Was that enough for the person that asked, or would you like us to go into more detail?
Was that Carol?
Yeah.
Here she comes.
Yeah, when Linda asked for some questions, these were some of the questions we've been talking about in our office. So.
Okay, so I mean, right now, as we mentioned earlier, the ownership goes to the user or the organization that created it. So right now, there's no way to compensate the content owner when the content is built by LM models.
Okay.
So this is being there are a couple of lawsuits in the court system right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this will happen, what will happen after those rulings. So another question you had was, who monitors AI in the firm? So when you think of AI, it's the same as any other new technology. It should technically come from upper management. They're going to probably come up with a game plan on how to implement the policies and how AI can be used in the company. And then the tech department will be the ones implementing the AI and the policies.
And I wanted to add to that, we are not experts in compliance. We usually partner with people on that. But I would say that from our perspective, AI to me is kind of like the way you think about quality. Like, do you have quality assurance if you're in manufacturing? Absolutely. But does that mean that you don't require quality assurance in your sales department? No, you do. So I think it's important that this is a broad, it's like they say every company is a tech company today, because you can't be a company without tech. So yeah, I 100% agree with what Lisa said, and also that, there's a broad infiltration throughout the organization of this particular technology.
Yeah.
I do want to say one quick thing on the, it's not exactly related to this, but sort of related to both of those, and that is from a security perspective, be aware if you use a product like ChatGPT, the public free version, what you enter in that window will enter its system of data. So you don't want to be putting, your secret sauce in one of your requests. So, okay.
Yes, so that's what's called open source data, and that's where they're pulling all the information. So it's more or less you're publicly putting out there what you do. But that's where with the per se to the IT and the policies, that's the cybersecurity layer, is the policies of how it's going to be implemented through the company and how the company is going to use it. You want to make sure you hold everybody accountable, especially with something like this, because they could create some very damaging information if they wanted to, since it's not regulated and it's still kind of the Wild West. So the next question was, how do we evaluate companies providing the AI services? Kathy, did you want to try to answer first?
Sure. I think it depends on, AI services is just really broad, right? It's just super broad. So I would say to, maybe you're looking for a strategic partner, then you're evaluating as a strategic partner with expertise in that area. You might be looking for a technical partner to build your own, or you might be looking for someone to make the most of what you have. So I think in all those cases, it's understanding what you're asking and seeing AI as a filter of this capability of what you're doing and making sure that you're assessing the partner or the company from that perspective. And of course, their expertise for AI within the context of that perspective.
Okay.
Number 4, hashtag I don't know. Yes and no.
Number 4.
Will there be government regulations that could impact the use of AI programs?
Oh, I thought we answered that. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So the next one was, who checks to see if what the AI program has to say? Is it really the appropriate answer to a complex problem? So as Kathy and I both said, it cannot be 100% trusted. You have to validate. You have to make sure that the information is accurate. And Kathy gave a great example. Do it, put your name in there with some criteria and see what it puts out. You're going to know very fast how accurate it is. But something to also remember, we work in the federal government, and a lot of people are now trying to use this to write proposals. And what the federal government's actually doing, they're actually dequeuing vendors because they're using ChatGPT instead of writing it themselves, because it's very obvious that whoever is writing it does not fully know what the customer is looking for and the solution that the vendor is offering. So just keep that in mind when you're using it. You want to make sure that you have the foundation enough to contradict it if needed and rewrite it as needed. Kathy, did you want to add anything to that?
I 100% agree with Lisa. I wanted to give you, I agree with her, and I wanted to still give you an alternate perspective, which is an interesting, a lot of this is just, oh, that's interesting because it's out in the wild, right? Like this is such broad use. I was talking with a school the other day, and they're having a debate internally about this topic. And the one side was like, hey, you cannot be using, you can't let someone else write your book report, write your book report, get out of, don't let them get onto ChatGPT, no. And the teacher said, are they allowed to use spell check? Are they allowed to use Grammarly? Like, where is the line of when they can no longer rely on tools to provide us a product? Like what's the real world? Like when they leave the school, what's the rule going to be at the business they work at? I totally agree the controls Lisa's saying, but I think it's also to be aware of if people push back on you, that might be some of what they're pushing back on or what they're thinking.
So Linda, do we have time for other questions or?
We are actually seconds away from being up on the hour. So we are ending exactly on time. If you have more questions, I know that a lot of us take a little longer to process. This is a lot of information. If you have more questions that pop into your mind, please send them to me. I will be the repository of additional questions, and we will do our very best to get answers to you. And we'll have a follow-up to this. I mean, you can't learn everything about AI in an hour. And so keep your questions coming. And you have the experts right here in the circle, and we will continue this conversation as more questions come and make sure that you have the resources that you need. Thank you so much for being in the circle. Thank you for being here today, for your questions. And oh my gosh, Lisa and her team and Kathy, thank you for sharing your expertise inside of the circle.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I
for
love the circle. So anything. Absolutely.
We do too. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. See you
Bye.
next time.